Hi everyone, it's Jodi with Glow with K Beauty. Today, we're talking about a subtle but trending topic among Korean plastic surgeons: lower eyelid fat repositioning surgery. Unlike traditional lower eyelid fat removal, this technique doesn't take the fat out, it repositions it to smooth under eye hollows and reduce puffiness. By redistributing the fat, surgeons create a natural, youthful transition between the lower eyelid and the cheek, avoiding the sunken look that can happen with removal alone. The buzz is growing in Korea because results tend to last longer, look softer, and require less downtime than older methods. Surgeons also highlight that it can address both under-eye bags and dark circles caused by shadowing. While it's not a mainstream global trend yet, many insiders believe this could become the next big K-beauty-inspired aesthetic procedure. So, if you've been curious about eye rejuvenation, this might be worth keeping on your radar. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time on Glow with K-Beauty podcast.
So, um, have you ever looked in the mirror, maybe after what felt like a good night's sleep, and thought, why do I still look so tired? It happens, right? And often it really comes down to that area right under our eyes. It's kind of amazing how much that small bit of puffiness or shadow can, change how we see ourselves. Well, today we're doing a deep dive into exactly that. We're looking at a specific case, one of our listeners, Park Ji-young, he's 39, from Pyeongchang, and he's actually getting married this September. And what kicked things off for him, his fiancée mentioned he looked tired. That was the moment he decided, okay, time to look into this under-eye situation.
Exactly. And that's really our mission today. We want to walk you through Park Ji-young's whole journey, starting with that comment, that sort of personal concern, and then exploring the really quite advanced cosmetic options available now for under-eye fat. We'll touch on his first thoughts, the different methods, and get into the science behind the one he chose, which is pretty fascinating.
Yeah, so initially when Park Ji-young first noticed that fullness under his eyes, he kind of just chalked it up to, getting older. Approaching 40, he figured it was just part of the deal. But like we said, the real nudge came from his fiancée. They'd done their wedding photos, and she gently pointed out that the fat under his eyes was making him look tired. It's interesting how often it's that outside view, isn't it? Not always how we see ourselves. So that led them to look for solutions. And they picked Hana Live Hospital because his fiancée knew the Ayang area well, felt it had a good reputation.
Right, and that consultation seems to have been a real turning point, a kind of aha moment for him. He suddenly understood that this thing he had accepted as just aging was actually a specific issue, under eye fat, something that could potentially be addressed.
Yeah.
And that realization was apparently so clear, so convincing, he didn't even feel the need to get a second opinion. He felt confident right there. It kind of highlights how we can sometimes just assume things are inevitable.
Yeah, absolutely. And his reason for going ahead was crystal clear. It wasn't just about looking a bit better. He genuinely felt this could change his whole vibe, make him look less worn out, more bright for the wedding, feel really good for that big day.
And what's really interesting is that before that consultation, Park Ji-young knew basically nothing about under-eye fat repositioning, zero prior knowledge.
Right, so he's learning all this fresh, and they explained the, let's call it the general method, the older type of surgery. This one involved, incisions, sometimes heat, and they even showed him surgical scenes. Being so close to the eye, he instantly felt it was, well, risky. Plus, he'd had LASIK before, so anything near his eyes made him extra cautious. That older method, a definite no-go for him.
Which makes total sense. And that's where this alternative, the Ankoru laser treatment, came into the picture. It was presented as the modern, less invasive option, and Park Ji-young decided it was worth paying more for. Why? Because it felt safer, and it promised a quicker recovery. That peace of mind, especially with the wedding coming up, was key.
Okay, so this Ankoru laser method, what makes it different? You mentioned no external stitches.
Exactly. No stitches to remove later on the outside. Instead, it uses internal stitches, the kind that dissolve on their own. And they actually serve a purpose strengthening the conjunctiva, that lining inside the eyelid. And comfort-wise, the doctor apparently compared it to getting an endoscopy. You have the choice sedation or no sedation. If you choose sedation, there is an anesthesiologist dedicated just to that, which adds another layer of safety.
So how does the laser itself work? What's it actually doing to the fat?
This is the clever part. The laser doesn't just, melt it away. It breaks down the internal fat very precisely. The doctor used the analogy of Tetris-like pieces. So imagine tiny, manageable blocks. These dispersed pieces then naturally settle into the hollows or grooves under the eye, smoothing everything out.
Tetris pieces. Okay, I can picture that. But does it last? Or does the fat just kind of shift back eventually?
That's a great question, and this is where it gets really interesting. The Ancora laser does more than just reposition. It actually stimulates collagen production in the area. So over time, this new collagen helps to sort of solidify the fat tissue, make it firmer. The description used was almost like cement, holding things in place for the long haul.
Wow, okay, so it's not just moving stuff around, it's reinforcing it, like building a better foundation.
Precisely. And that leads to several key benefits. First, the under eye area becomes firmer, more supported. It can even help improve the skin tone there, make it look healthier.
And recovery is better, you said.
Yes, generally faster recovery and less swelling compared to older techniques. Some older methods involve releasing ligaments, fixing membranes, more manipulation, basically, which means more healing time. And crucially, this Ankoru method seems less likely to have recurrence, where the problem comes back. With thinner membranes involved in some older procedures, things might stretch or sag again over time. This laser method, by encouraging that collagen, sort of builds a supportive wall right from the start. It manages the existing fat and helps prevent future bulging.
Makes sense. And the procedure itself, time-wise.
Pretty efficient, about 50 minutes for the procedure itself, then maybe 30 minutes with a cool mask on the eyes, and then you're typically good to go home.
So while that's the general idea of the Ankoru method, Park Ji-young's situation was a bit unique, wasn't it? His fat wasn't quite typical.
That's right. The examination found he had movable fat, but it was in unusual places and more extensive than usual. A slightly more complex picture.
Something about his cheekbones played a role, too.
Yes, apparently his cheekbones are relatively smaller, which just structurally made the under-eye fat seem even more prominent. It sort of exaggerated the effect.
So for him, specifically, what did the procedure involve?
Given that unusual distribution, the plan was to use the laser to pulverize the fat, break it down into those Tetris's pieces, rearrange it, and then carefully remove any excess that wasn't needed to create that smooth contour.
Got it. And aesthetically, what's the goal? What will he actually look like afterwards, hopefully feeling more ready for the wedding?
Well, the aim is a really natural but refreshed look. Importantly, it preserves his agosal, that little pocket of fullness right under the lower lash line, which is seen as youthful and charming.
Ah, okay, so it doesn't flatten everything out completely.
No, exactly. It reorganizes the bulging fat lower down. By doing that, it can actually make the face appear a bit shorter, more balanced. The doctor used a Korean term, itdweij, suggesting a more youthful, almost innocent look.
Yeah.
It's sometimes called creating apple cheekbones because reducing that puffiness in the midface, the jungmyeonbu, makes the upper cheeks look fuller and rounder, contributing to that refreshed appearance.
So really, this whole deep dive shows how understanding the specific type of problem, like where the fat is, how it behaves, lets these advanced technologies offer really targeted solutions. It's not just one size fits all.
Absolutely. It's about safety, yes, but also about longevity and getting a result that truly fits the individual, moving beyond just treating a symptom to actually remodeling the underlying structure in a sophisticated way.
And for you listening, maybe the takeaway is that understanding the why behind a concern and the how of potential solutions really puts you in the driver's seat. It helps move past those old assumptions about, oh, it's just aging, and lets you explore what modern science might actually offer. So I guess the question this leaves us with is, as technology keeps evolving like this, what other common concerns might become treatable in new ways? And how does that change how we think about what's natural versus what we can actively manage to feel our best? Makes you wonder, doesn't it?